Hi, I'm Ran, a self-taught watercolor artist and the artist behind this page, Run My Art. So in today's video, I'm going to do a walkthrough of my debut experience. First time exploring what is it like to use soft pastel as a new medium of painting, because I usually work on watercolor. So I'm a predominantly work on watercolor. So this is my first time and I'll walk through the process. By the way, this is not a time-lapse video or a very short video. It's actually a long video, about 28 minutes long, because I'd like to go through the process on like a real-time basis to see what is it like, so that viewers can actually see for themselves how is it like to work with soft pastels. Because if I do a time-lapse video, then it would be very speedy and you won't be able to actually capture the visuals properly. You might not understand. So if it's a slow process, then you'll be able to see what is the texture like of the pastels and possible mistakes that can happen. And even though I'm not going to do any sketches, it's just color swatches. So let's see how it goes. So coming back to the box of soft pastels that I've bought from the brand Sennelier, which is a French brand, came with this tortillon size number 3, which is to be used to smudge your pastel drawing or painting. So basically this box contains 20 half sticks. As you can see, all the 20 colors that are listed on the box. So it came in a very compact box. I basically bought this from Amazon and it costed me about euros 36.84. I'm not so sure what would be the price differences if you get it from your local art store, but I would confidently say, since it's an established brand, there wouldn't be much difference. You can also check various shops online, but I will leave the links to where I bought this on Amazon, and it's the amazon.de site, German website, because I live in Luxembourg. So amazon.de was the best choice for me. Well, for watercolors, normally I'm a big fan of Schminke Horadam, and I did try to do a research on what are the options offered by Schminke Horadam for soft pastels. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any half stick soft pastels, especially the starter kit, as in 15 sticks or 20 sticks. I'm afraid they were all in full size sticks. So for a starter point of view, I mean, it's the first time for me to try a soft pastel. I was a bit reluctant to go for the full sticks, and yep, that's when I found that Sennelier offers half sticks, and apart from that, with the half sticks they offer more number of colors, like in this case 20 different colors. So for a beginner, I would say this makes a good buy and cost effective. But if any of you came across Schminke Horadam brand soft pastels that offer half sticks, then do let me know in the comments below. As for the second question, why soft pastels and not oil pastels? Well, I have only worked with watercolors and gouache so far,
So I don't know much, or fair enough to say I have zero knowledge about oil paints, and I would believe the oil pastels work similar to oil paints, and of course they do not need some primer to dilute. It's already in a form of pastel, but yet I believe it will leave oily stains on the paper that you're working on. So I'm not so comfortable with that because I'm so used to water medium when I use watercolor. And secondly, I plan to combine my watercolor paintings with a little bit of pastels in my future projects. So I'm sure both the soft pastel and the watercolor will work hand in hand instead of combining oil based materials with watercolors. So as you can see here, I have already unboxed the pastels, and I'm also going to show you the paper that I'm going to use, which is from the brand Canson. And I must say I'm quite comfortable using Canson brand papers since I've been using them for my watercolor painting in the last 1.5 years, and the results are pretty good. And this paper is called mitainte. It's a French word, and it's of 160 grams per square meter thickness, which is half of watercolor paper. Normally watercolor paper is quite thick, which is about 300 grams per square meter, and it is of A4 sized paper pad. So I'm not so sure what do they mean by mid-tones with regards to this paper, but based on the description given, especially on their website, this paper particularly has two surfaces, whereby the front page has got a honeycomb grain, so you can feel it uneven, like a grain feel, like any other watercolor cold press. And the back of the paper is a smooth surface, which is recommended for pencil and charcoal. And fun fact, it seems these papers are suitable for your other art and craft work, I guess as in origami. And therefore it is offered in many colors, as many as 50 different colors. So if you're interested, go check out on their website. I can also leave the link, the Amazon link, where I bought this particular paper that I'm going to use in the video. Now first things first, let's look at this tortillon number 3, which came with the pastels that I bought. And it's a new device or tool for me since I'm so used to using watercolor brushes. So it seems tortillons are used for smudging purposes and also blending the pastel drawings. Alright, then I shall move on with the color swatching process of these pastels, and let's get started. So I'm just gonna test the colors on the color swatch card which came with the pastels. Besides that, they have also provided a sample pastel card which is called La Carte Pastel. It's a very rough surfaced paper whereby you can use them to draw using the pastels. If you do not prefer the normal smoother surfaced paper, you can also use the pastel cards. And since it has a very sandy type of texture, the pastel sticks even harder to the surface of the paper. I'm not sure how many artists make use of the pastel card, but it was given as a sample. So rushing into our color swatching process, the first color that I used was white, and since it's white you can hardly see it, but as soon as I touched the white pastel, you could see from the video that it's already staining my fingers. So that's one thing that's very new to me as a watercolor artist, where we don't get our hands all dirty, and this is something new. I mean, what I meant is, it's not that artists don't get their hands dirty. I mean, I'm a messy painter myself. I'm not very neat with my work, but however, we make sure our fingers don't get dirty when we are making watercolor painting, at least. And moreover, we are used to painting with brushes in watercolor, so the chances of getting your hands or fingers dirty is very minimal. So in the meantime, since my fingers are getting all stained, I'm just using a paper towel in the meantime to keep my hands a bit clean, at least, while I switch from one pastel color to another. So the second color swatch is black, obviously, and once I've roughly stained it on the paper provided, I'm just trying to blend in with a tortillon. Of course, you can use your fingers as well, which is quite normal in making pastel drawing, but since it's a very limited space on the card, because I need to consider filling up all the other boxes, available boxes for the available colors, so I thought it would be best to just smudge or blend them using this tortillon. Next color is dark brown or sapphire, maybe, if I relate this to watercolors, and you can see the label I'm showing on the box. Yep, let's just do the color swatch as usual. As I'm making the color swatch, of course it's just a beginning stage and not an entire drawing or sketch. I must say I don't need to apply much pressure while I apply. For example, if you're using a crayon or a chalk, you will need to put a lot of pressure on the finger, but these soft pastels doesn't require much effort or pressure on your finger. As you just apply them, it glides quite smoothly. So I'm quite impressed with that, because I was afraid that I might be too harsh and break them quickly or crumble them. And of course, tiny dust of pastel does come out. I think that's just the nature of the pastels. So as you move on from one color to another, my advice would be to just blow the balance dust away, or just tap your card so the remaining dust or particles drops off to the your table surface. A pastel, once it's dropped on the table, just wipe off with a clean tablecloth or paper towel, so that it doesn't get in the way of your painting process, sketching process, swatching process, and leave more stains. This is something that we have to remember while we use soft pastels. I hope I would remember this tip when I start making an actual full sketch, and you can catch that in my next videos. So moving on with the color swatches, think I've done the yellow ochre and as well as another shade of brown, or to be exact, burnt sienna. Yeah, you can see I've accidentally scraped off with my nails into another color. Yep, stands to happen. So just quick clean with a paper towel. I'm moving on to the next color. It's a dull green, 212, as you can see on the box. Yep, I would say it looks more like a moss color. You know, the moss, which is quite deep green, which looks a bit like olive green as well. So it can be a moss or olive green mixture. Next color seems to be an actual pastel colored. It's a very light green. Normally this type of milky colors, we refer them to pastel palettes. Yes, that's what I meant. And the next shade is a very bright green. This color looks quite amazing, and I think it's quite creamy. Starting off with the milky green to this green, you can see they are quite thick. It even stained my finger quite hard. This is a dark, let's say navy. Yep, seems like a very beautiful color as well. So quick one. Yep, dabbing off the remaining particles on the card to avoid mess. So as you can see here, I've been like continuously applying the colors first, and I haven't blended them yet. I would say it's much faster to do the color swatches this way. So just quickly apply the colors onto the card, and lastly I would just blend them with the tortillon. And this bright blue seems like a cobalt blue, a very attractive color. I think one of the most eye-catching color on the right side row of the palette arrangement. This cobalt blue seems so eye-catching that it looks even bright and beautiful on my fingers as it stained. Now moving on to the left hand arrangement of the pastel colors, which seem very exciting. As you can see, it's very bright and harmonious colors. Even looks amazing on the video. And this is the sky blue, even though it looked a bit darker on the box description, but it's actually more milkier color, milky tone, similar to the milky green that I demonstrated just now. And this, I think it should be purple, or to be precise, fuchsia, or in other languages, European languages, can be lila, which refers to purple. And as I'm applying it, wow, this is one exciting color to work with. Next color, pink or magenta to be precise. This stick definitely looks like a lipstick. I mean, every woman can relate to this. and it's creamy just like a stick of lipstick as well. Just kidding. Alright, now at this point I thought it would be wiser for me to zoom in the table so that you can see the colors at a closer distance and looks much more clearer. So the next color is a deep red, which you can relate to a stick of beautiful deep red lipstick as well. And with not much effort, you can see it's quite creamy and very stainy, if that's a word. It's quite deep as you apply, so there's not much effort or stress, pressure to put on when you use this particular color. And yes, comparing it to the brighter red, which looks similar to an orange, but I think bright red fits the description better. Yeah. Yes, that's the description on the box. A very deep color as well. It's easy to apply, and it's quite staining. The moment you apply, the color is popping up on the paper. Following color looks like a very light orange, I would say milky orange, similar to the other two pastel palette theme or group. And yes, this is a typical orange. Seems easy to apply as well. I would say this row of colors, the bright ones, are very much easier to apply compared to the first half. And they seem like an Indian yellow because it's a bit deep, and this yellow seems bright yellow, or I can relate it to an egg yolk yellow. You can also call it as royal yellow because it's much brighter than the Indian yellow. And finally, last color is a light yellow, which falls in the pastel group color, or milky yellow I would call it. Yeah. So we're done with applying the colors. And as you can see, I've already stained my fingers, especially on my right fingers, which I used to apply the pastel. It's a quick clean with paper towel. And the final step is to blend in the colors properly inside the box that we have applied in the colors. So a quick one, the moment you use the tortillon or any blending tool, it moves quite smoothly. You can see it blends very fast and smooth, and that is very impressive to me for a beginner. As an additional info, if you can't get the tortillon, you can also use other blending tools. Besides using your fingers, you can use cotton buds or Q-tips, which is quite frugal, cost effective, and easy to use. So worry not, if you don't have the tortillon, you can always use a Q-tip. So I've decided to fast forward the blending process to save some time. And another important tip that we should know when using the pastel or blending in the colors is to clean off the tip of your smudging tool when you're moving from one color to another, because the darker colors especially could stain the lighter colors. So when you're moving from darker color blending to a lighter color, please remember to clean the smudging tool, otherwise the darker colors, the particles from the darker color which is still on your smudging tool would go and stick or blend onto your, or contaminate the color of your lighter color tones, unless you want to have some sort of color mixing there. And there it is, a complete color swatch of the Sennelier 20 tone colors, pastel colors. As you can see from the card, the right hand side, or the warmer colors, they look the brightest and the most easiest to apply. In other words, they were very creamy and less pressure applied. While the ones on the left, they were a bit harsher but still easy to apply. Okay, before I end the video, just a quick show on the card that came with the pastel box, which I have skipped. I actually overlooked. I didn't realize there was a card included with the pastel box. So yes, describe the pastel card that I described earlier in the video, as well as other paper types that are suitable for soft pastels. And they also have their own fixative spray for pastel, because pastel painting or sketches need to be sealed onto the paper, otherwise it could smudge and your entire painting could be damaged. So in order to protect and fix the pastel sketch, it's best to spray it with the fixative spray prior to framing it. And in the meantime, if you don't have any sort of fixative spray or hairspray, you can just protect your pastel sketches underneath a glassine, acid-free glassine paper.
So that's all for now. Hopefully viewers liked the walkthrough of how is it like to work with soft pastels by Sennelier, and I'll be making more videos on basic sketches or first time sketching, especially still life using soft pastels. So if you'd like to watch those videos, please subscribe to my channel so that you'll get notification and you'll get more updates from my channel. So see you again on this channel. Bye.